Hey folks, it's Evgeny again, and today we are diving deeper into LLMs, prompts, completions, and all that fun stuff. Yep, it's another video from the AI for Developers 101 series. Let's jump in right now. What's on the agenda today? We are talking about prompt engineering, breaking down the fundamentals, exploring how it all works. So expect tons of examples. We are going to cover some core techniques for building these prompts, and most importantly, we will figure out why you need to care about this in the first place. You know, prompt engineering isn't just a fancy tool for Instagram influencers. It's a lifeline for real coders working with AI. And now you might be wondering, why do we ever need prompt engineering? I mean, we are working with AI, right? Here, and it feels like it's got real intelligent at the end of the day, right? So why all this mental gymnastics? Can't we just ask it what we need and get the perfect answer? Well, here's the catch. If you've been following my previous videos, you probably already know this. LLMs don't actually understand the answers they are giving you. Shocking, right? What's really happening is that your prompt, the question you're asking, is just being filled in with the most statistically likely continuations. And voila, the completion is what gets sent back to you. So, what kind of problems can we run into? Honestly, there are tons, but let's focus on the two biggest that mess with us the most. So, first up, all LLMs are stochastic. And what does that mean? Basically, there is no consistency in the answers. Ask the same question and you'll get different responses every single time. No guarantees. Today I'm going to show you exactly what this means using the OpenAI chat playground. So let's see how this whole models are stochastic thing plays out in real life. Alright, let's fire off a question. Something simple. How about what does it really look like? Seems like a pretty straightforward one. Okay, what does it really look like? Explain in one sentence. The answer looks legit, but here's the fun part. Let's ask exact same question again. But this time we will do it in a fresh session, so the results don't influence each other. And again, what does it really look like? Explain in one sentence. Look at that. A totally different answer. Same question, different answer. And this is what I meant by stochastic. Our AI's got a mind of its own, kind of. Now, if you really think about it, both answers are technically correct. They're describing exactly the same thing, just in different ways. And sure, if you're just here for some casual reading, no big deal, right? The text varies a bit, so what? But here's the kicker. Imagine if your app relies entirely on a response from the LLM, and now suddenly you've got a real problem. Because if your answer changes every time, your app's logic can get thrown off. It's unpredictable and impossible to fully control how your program is going to behave. And now we can try and play around with the parameters of LLM. For example, let's tweak the temperature setting, which will drill down the model's creativity. So I'm setting it to 1 on both sessions, here and there. And let's try and fire the same question again. And the same here, right? So tell me, what does it really look like? Explain in one sentence. Okay, it's definitely better, you see? It's almost identical. So things are starting to look a bit more consistent, but anyway, it's still there, right? Okay, let's try an even more interesting example. I'm picking the latest model and I'm going to change system instructions and I'm going to replace this your helpful assistant to something like your creative assistant who speaks all your themes. And I'm going to ask exactly the same question. Let's see what it does us. Let's make it even longer, the response. Well, now this is great, right? It's a tree stands tall with branches wide, with leaves that dance and sway with its pride and so on. And this is really great if your only goal is to have a quick chat with your LLM buddy, even now and then. But imagine, it's a total nightmare if your app depends on LLM responses like this. Zero consistency and no way to predict what your app is going to spill out next. And we all know what users think of an app that behaves unpredictably. Yep, they think it's broken. Do you really want that? Didn't you think so? Well, you could always market your service as a real handcrafted piece of software, like every user request is personally handled by a real human, with all the love and care possible. Instant success. And now for problem number 2. LLMs can hallucinate. Yep, you heard that right. Just like a sleep-deprived college student during final weeks. They can start giving you answers that aren't even real. And the worst part, they'll deliver those made-up facts with absolute confidence. Like they've got a PhD in whatever they are talking about. It'll look super legit on the surface, like there's a solid theoretical foundation behind it all. Except, well, there isn't. Okay, let's test this out by asking something we know is wrong. But quick side note, LLMs are getting smarter with every new version, so some of those easy tricks to make them hallucinate, they don't work as well anymore. Still, no matter how much they improve, the hallucination problem isn't going away, it's just getting sneakier. So while it's harder to catch, trust me, it's still there. Alright, anyway, let's type in something completely ridiculous. Like, describe the premise of a book published in 1987 in which the water of the planet is made of paper. Look at that. It's so convincing. And honestly, when I was preparing for this demo, I actually spent 20 minutes browsing the internet trying to figure out how I magically predicted a book published in far away in 1997, and it turns out it doesn't exist. Shocker, right? And for those of you who still not convinced, let's try something even wilder. Describe, wait a second, I'm a single-threaded person. Describe the premise of a book published in 1997 in which the water on the planet is made of iPhone. And there you have it, folks. The first iPhone, secretly launched in 1997. Guess Apple's been keeping that under wraps for years. So, why does this happen? It's just the nature of how LLMs work. Let me remind you, this thing isn't thinking. It's just splitting out the most statistically likely answer based on the data it's been fed. Any logical reasoning? No, forget about it. But now imagine you're relying on an LLM to make decisions, or worse, you don't actually know much about the topic you're asking about. That's a recipe for disaster, my friends. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the answer to it all? I'm 90% sure it involves coffee, Wi-Fi, and probably some version 42. How am I doing? Close enough, you had me at coffee. So these are the two main problems. We are tackling with different techniques for modifying prompts, like prompt engineering. Prompt engineering fundamentals. It's time to head back into the playground. And traditionally, for those of you looking to dive deeper into prompt engineering and become a true master of it, I highly recommend checking out a few books that I found fascinating and insightful on the subject. To save your trouble of searching, I've included the links in the video description. Go ahead, you won't regret it. And here are some basic things that you can do with a prompt. See, what's happening here? The LLM doesn't understand what you're writing. It's just completing the next token's text with the most statistically likely info. No deep thinking going on here. And let's continue the conversation with the next question. What other services does it have? And see, I'm not saying who's this it is in the context, I'm just running the query. And it understands that pretty well, right? So now if you want to refine your answer, you can dive into a conversation feeding the LLM more details or nudging it in the direction you want. And well, it's all about iterations, and you can keep tweaking the response step by step until you get something closer to what you're after. Another way to interact with LLMs is through instructive prompts, like this one. Provide me with a summary of what YouTube offers. And once again, you can refine the answer to get more specific. Like here, provide me with a summary of what YouTube offers and generate a bullet point list of its additional services. Or you can even take control of the format because, well, why not? So provide me a summary of what YouTube offers and generate a bullet point list of its additional services and format the output in JSON. See, you're not just playing with the information, you're also shaping how it's delivered. So up until now, we've been giving LLMs very simple tasks or instructions. But what if we want to give them a little extra help, some primary context to work with? And this helps LLM with context, making it easier to follow instructions. And do you want to have a fancy term for it? It's called grounding. So let's do it this way. Provide a summary of what YouTube offers and generate a list of its additional services. So now what we want to do, we want to group YouTube services by the type of content they provide. And we are going to send all this information as a primary context. So this way, let's clean it. So by giving it more content to work with, you are grounding the LLM, helping it organize the information more effectively. What else can be used as primary content? Well, we can give the LLM examples to serve as the initial context. We touched on this a bit in earlier videos. Remember about single or few shot prompts? Here we have 3 examples, and the explanation of every service is formatted in a very poetry level, let's say. Like you can say it aloud and it's clear, like songs and videos in endless streams where every note fulfills your dreams, etc. And then we're asking, let it be more sophisticated this time. Then we're asking LLM, please, would you mind to, based on these examples, to give us the next one? Let's see if it gets the idea. And look at that. YouTube Studio, a creator's heaven where insights thrive, tools to edit, publish, analyze, drive. It was smart enough to catch the vibe and run with it. So another way to set primary content is by providing cues to guide LLM in the right direction. So let's see an example here this time. Provide a summary of what YouTube offers and generate a list of its additional services. See, that's a pretty standard response, nothing too exciting, but let's give it a bit more direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this as initial context and ask to summarize this. And here we are, or we can be even more specific. So the same request, but this time we are going to give it a bit direction into the where we want it to be, right? So the two top significant facts about YouTube are, and we are letting LLM to finish the sentence. All right, that's a wrap for today. We have touched on the fundamental building blocks of prompt constructing and dug into the motivation behind the whole field called prompt engineering. We also explored some basic techniques for crafting prompts. No matter what model you choose to work with in your LLM-powered app, at some point you're going to need to get your hands dirty with prompt construction. And that's it from me, Evgeny. So leave your comments, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video in our 101 series. See you next time. And yep, I'm trying the like button trick here again. So give me the like, give me a like, give me a like, give me the like. No, give me the like. No. Give me the like, give me a like. Ah, here, finally, I have it. All right, until next time, folks. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.